A report Sunday morning from NFL Media's Ian Rappaport should have Chiefs fans excited. He tweeted out that help is on the way for the Chiefs as wide receiver Hollywood Brown, who had an SC joint injury, has an appointment in Week 15 with his surgeon for final clearance, sources say, one that likely allows him to play in Week 16 or Week 17. DeAndre Hopkins, Travis Kelce, Noah Gray, Isaiah Pacheco, Hollywood Brown and company. That's not bad. Lots said about the Chiefs offense, but that's not bad. Reason to get excited.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank. If you're thinking about starting a business or know someone who is, check out Emprise Bank's SBA loans. It's always good to know your options, and they can be your partner in possible.
I'm DJ Kissel. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of 10 Things here on KC Sports Network. And as always, thanks to Session Tacos / Mission Taco Joint, was what it was formerly known as, for supporting us and the KCSN Foundation. When you're feeling tacos, check out Mission Taco Joint. You can mention KCSN on Tuesdays for 10% off at any of their Kansas City area locations. We appreciate Session Tacos. All right, let's get into this. For anybody that's not listened or watched this show before, it's a lot of information. A lot of this comes from the Chiefs communications department and their game notes that they send after the game and after that 1917 win for the Chiefs over the Raiders. In fact, this is a few games later, some other stuff that's going to get mixed in as well, but appreciate you for hanging out with us, recording this Sunday morning before the slate of games here on Sunday. So I'm not going to react to anything that may or may not happen that's interesting regarding the Chiefs, the playoffs, all those things. But one thing that we do know after that game to get things started is that the Chiefs are going back to the playoffs. The Chiefs clinched a playoff berth with that win over the Raiders for a 10th consecutive season. That is the second longest streak in NFL history, trailing the Patriots' 11 straight seasons of going to the postseason from 2009 and to 2019. So when you look at the top winning streaks, the top playoff streaks in NFL history, again, Chiefs with 10, trailing only New England had 11. And then below that, you have some of those other dynasty type runs that we've seen from organizations that have just had sustained success. We've seen it with Dallas a couple of different times. Dallas 1975 to 1983. It was 9 straight trips to the postseason. Indianapolis with Peyton Manning early in the 2000s, 2002 to 2010 with 9 straight. And then there were 5 teams with 8 straight trips to the playoffs. Dallas again from 66 to 73. And then Pittsburgh from 72 to 79. We know about those teams. The Rams and LA from 73 to 80. San Francisco, Joe Montana and company from 1983 to 1990. And then Green Bay from 2009 to 2016. So again, just adding context how special of a time this is. If you're a Chiefs fan, if you've listened to anything that I've said over the last several years, I tend to wax poetic about it a little bit, but it's important. And I think all of us Chiefs fans that are of a certain age kind of understand what we're witnessing, and it's things like that. Despite the frustrations of left tackle, some of the things defensively that we'll get into a little bit on this show. We've got plenty of content on KCSN that gets into that stuff, trying to keep this show more information-based, but still, it's things that are aggravating in watching the Chiefs, but I still think most of us have some semblance of context to how special it is what we're watching, even though we know they're better than we've seen them play. But again, already clinched a playoff berth. Now it's just getting right for the playoffs. Make sure you're playing your best football. The guys are healthy and ready to go as you get closer to that. But one of the guys who's the reason the Chiefs just seem to be pulling it out late in these games is obviously Patrick Mahomes. And he passed Len Dawson in history books with that game on Friday. And it was with a 6-yard touchdown pass to Justin Watson in the second quarter of Friday's 1917 win that Mahomes recorded his 238th career touchdown pass, breaking a tie with Pro Football Hall of Fame quarterback Len Dawson for the franchise record for most touchdown throws. Mahomes completed 26 of 46 for 306 yards with a touchdown. It marks his 47th career 300-yard passing performance with a record of 40-7 in those contests. Mahomes owns 31,403 passing yards in his first 8 seasons, ranking as the 5th most in league history in a player's first 8 years. He needs just 14 passing yards to move past Pro Football Hall of Fame quarterback Dan Marino and his mark of 31,416 yards for the 4th most passing yards in a player's first 8 seasons in the NFL. All kinds of records. Do this every week with Patrick Mahomes. But the big one all-time leader in franchise history with touchdown passes, passing Len Dawson, who had 237. And it's been a while since he's had to pass anybody on this list. Trent Green is third on this list with the most touchdown passes in Chiefs franchise history. He has 118. So Patrick Mahomes with 120 more touchdown passes than Trent Green. Again, just to give some context. Now they throw the ball more now, all those things. But as somebody that grew up during that Trent Green era of football and Steve DeBerg and Elvis Gerbach and all those guys, Trent Green was the one that I was old enough to understand what I was watching, how special some of those offenses were, and to see the numbers that Mahomes is putting up makes me feel bad for my kids because they're never going to know the struggle. We joke about that before, but make sure your kids don't get too entitled about all of this because they're going to grow up only knowing successful teams. With the Royals being successful, obviously with what the Chiefs are doing right now, spoiled. They won't know the struggle. All right, let's move on. As we struggle to get through this show, I appreciate all you for hanging out again. But number 3, Isaiah Pacheco makes his return to the field. It was something that was widely talked about, at least on this network, going into this game and over the last several games, that Kareem Hunt, for all the success the Chiefs have had in rushing productivity, and we put out those advanced stats that Joseph Effner does analytics for our Substack. Make sure you check that out. But saying that the Chiefs are number 1 in rushing EPA, they don't get a lot of negative runs. That when you need 3 yards, Kareem Hunt's going to give you 3 yards. But when you need 8 yards, Kareem Hunt's going to give you 3 yards. And not a lot of chunk plays. I think they put up a graphic, or I saw it on social. I saw it during the broadcast. I apologize. I don't know where I got it to cite it, but I think it said Kareem Hunt had 160 rushes so far this season and didn't have a single run. I think it was over 20 yards. I think his longest carry of the season is 17 yards. Isaiah Pacheco had a 34-yard run in this game. He had less than 40 carries on the season and has already got one of those chunk plays. And looking throughout his career, Isaiah Pacheco, again, he's not a burner, but he will pick up some of those chunk plays. And it was one of the things that was kind of missing from this Chiefs offense that you don't really think about. When he gets a 12 to 13-yard run, you get a first down, you're feeling pretty good about it, not realizing that those are the types of plays that Isaiah Pacheco would make that 30, 35 yards. Wouldn't run away from anybody necessarily and score a long touchdown run. Like we saw early in Kareem Hunt's career, we had some more of that burst. And not that the offense hasn't been good, but when you're trying to figure out how can we make things a little bit easier on the tackle situation has been talked about a lot. You're making it more difficult by having to run more plays to get down the field because you're not getting some of those chunk plays. Patrick Mahomes, Xavier Worthy haven't quite got that timing, that rhythm down. There's a lot of moving parts to this, not having time to step in and deliver an accurate throw, not knowing the stem. Then I know some former players, like Shannon Sharp, had talked about that with Xavier Worthy and whether he knows the routes or what his angle is or what his point of reference is to run, whether it's the back pylon, whatever those angles are. Whoever's at fault, they got to get that part figured out. You get into the playoffs, they're going to need some of those chunk plays with some of the teams they're going to be playing and offensively needing to pick up some chunk yards because as we've seen from the defense, the injury to Jalen Watson, it's been tough. And we actually saw the Chiefs, and we talked about it on the post-game show. I know the Only Weird Games talked about it. Lab's going to talk about it on Monday. That football show with Tucker and Matt Verderam, likely going to talk about this. The Chiefs did make some changes during this game, which I don't say fans have been asking for, but kind of complaining about because when they're not playing well, do people want to know why are they not playing well? Well, Najee Johnson had struggled. Let's be honest. Justin Reed has struggled in coverage. Shamari Connor has struggled in coverage at times. And even for as good as he is, still a Pro Bowl player, but Trent McDuffie has given up some plays that we're not necessarily used to watching him give up those kinds of plays. So to get Isaiah Pacheco back, get some of those chunk plays going to help the offense. Now defensively, you're going to have to try to reduce some of those chunk plays. And it's the veterans. They got to be better in those situations. And we've seen Justin Reed not giving up a ton of huge plays. I know he missed one tackle that led to a big play. But a lot of it's catching or making a tackle after a big play. And eventually they're going to have to get in and break some of those passes up. Because again, the types of teams you're going to have to beat when it matters that we're kind of building towards beating, the Baltimores of the world, even the Denvers, they sneak into the playoffs, the Buffaloes, those types of teams in the AFC, Houston, Pittsburgh, a couple teams that we're going to see here down the stretch. We're going to see what we need to do and what that margin of error is to beat them. But offensively, the chunk plays are going to help, and defensively, not giving up so many big plays, which Steve Spagnuolo throughout his career really hadn't. But they got to get back on it. But we did see him make that change on both sides, to go back to what I was saying a second ago, where Najee Johnson got benched. They brought Josh Williams in. He was one of the highest graded defensive players, according to Pro Football Focus. Take that for what you will. It'll be interesting to see if Josh Williams is the starter when they go up against the Chargers on Sunday Night Football, because that's going to be a huge game. We really want to know what this Chiefs team is about. I think Sunday Night Football against the Chargers is going to be one of those games where we can see how locked in these guys get, because the schedule is going to get more brutal. They took care of business winning those games against Carolina and the Raiders. They weren't pretty, but they needed to win them to continue to put themselves in the best position to get that 1 seed. And to get it, I think that game against the Chargers is really going to be important, because after that, you're playing 3 games in 10 days. The Chiefs are, with that funky schedule around Christmas. Chris Jones talked about it at the game. I'll get to it here in a minute. But yeah, Isaiah Pacheco getting back, gives them those chunk plays, and defensively, we've seen them at least try to do something different with some of the plays that Najee Johnson was giving up to bring in Josh Williams. But yeah, offense, moving on to number 4 here. Offense, not great. Overall, at least the issues that we've seen from this offense, the issues that we continue to see, the offensive tackles continuing to struggle. Pro Football Focus had Jawan Taylor as the 16th ranked player offensively for the Chiefs in this game against the Raiders out of 20 players. And Wanya Morris, not a huge surprise, was ranked 20 out of 20. One thing, the fact that Wanya Morris spoke with the media the way that he did, I saw some people on social media kind of had a problem with him smiling and not really being goofy about it, but just in other people's words, not seeming to care as much or be upset that he's not playing well. I see it another way. That we know these guys care, and if you don't, I think it's disingenuous. I know how much time and effort these guys put into their craft, and I think most people do, and they understand that. But Wanya being able to go and talk to the media as being a professional, and talking to the media the way that he did, not kind of dropping his head, knowing that he's going to get another chance, even with DJ Humphries, maybe rolling ankle. All these guys are going to get an opportunity. Even Kingsley Suamataia probably going to get back in there at some point during this season, whether it's injuries late in the season. If they clinch the spot, starting that last game, getting some experience where if something happens in the playoff, he has to go in. People don't want to hear it. We've talked about this before. We talked about it with MVS last year. That nobody wanted to throw him the ball until it was a huge moment to seal the AFC Championship, and you throw a deep pass and he catches it. Those guys are going to have to make plays at some point. So whether they make plays or not because we're mean on social media or say things, no, we know that's not true. But in the back of our mind, understand that they're still on the roster. It's only so many guys you can pick up off the street, and those guys are going to have to step up and make plays. And the more the Chiefs could do to win now and take care of business against the Chargers. Don't think they're going to go undefeated through the rest of the season with the schedule they have, the rest days that they have. Almost give them a rest game on Christmas. Just rest everybody, just play the practice squad. Half joking, but it's a brutal schedule. And Chris Jones had mentioned it on social media, saying he was going to talk to the NFLPA after the season about having a week 6 bye and then playing 3 games in 10 days down the stretch. For a football team that has played more games than any other team in the NFL over the last 2 years, because they've gone all the way to the Super Bowl and the toll that takes. It's why going back to back is so difficult, and only 8 teams have ever done it. And no team that had won back to back out of those 8 has ever even got back to the Super Bowl, knowing how difficult it is to continue to win and continue to stack wins against teams that are gunning for you. And we've seen every team play one of their best games of the season when they're playing against the Chiefs. That's just kind of the position they're in right now. But yeah, looking at those tackles again, PFF grades, Jawan Taylor, 16th out of 20, Wanya Morris, 20th out of 20. Wanya Morris allowed 7 pressures in that game against the Raiders, according to PFF. And now looking at the guy that everybody's waiting on, to get in football shape right now, DJ Humphries, which still may be a couple of weeks. DJ Humphries has played 98 games in his career. He has never allowed, according to PFF, he has never allowed more than 5 pressures in a game. He's allowed 5 pressures a few different times, but never allowed more than 5 pressures in a game, which Wanya Morris has done multiple times over the last 2 years. So you're trying to compare. He's coming back from an injury, talking about DJ Humphries, not in game shape necessarily. So not expecting just to go out there and absolutely shut it down, but another talented option that, if healthy and in shape, has shown throughout his career to be better than what the Chiefs currently have, which is what they need right now. Because we've seen, again, especially spurts during the Panthers game when there was no pass rush. If you give Patrick Mahomes time, regardless of who's out there as weapons, he's going to deliver the football accurately to somebody. And the fact that you're getting Hollywood Brown back around the time that you would get DJ Humphries into football shape, there's reason to be optimistic that the Chiefs will be playing their best football and better football than what we've seen so far this year. All right, next one, number 5, Travis Kelce and Samaje Perine team up. This one was absolutely scripted. Travis Kelce had another magical play with a catch and lateral to Perine to convert a 3rd and 10 as Mahomes found Kelce on a 5-yard pass, which Kelce then flipped to Perine to pick up an additional 10 yards for the first down. Just 3 plays later, the Chiefs were able to turn it into a touchdown with a 6-yard TD pass to Justin Watson, putting the Chiefs ahead 10-3. Kelce finished the game with a team-high 7 receptions for 68 yards, racking up 28 yards after the catch. With his 28 yards after the catch, Kelce now owns 5,632 career yards after the catch, passing former wide receiver Steve Smith Sr. for the 4th most yak for a pass catcher in league history, dating back to 1992, since they started keeping this. And dating back to 1992, only 9 NFL players have recorded at least 5,000 yards after the catch, and Kelce's 5,632 yards after the catch also ranks as the most yak by a tight end in NFL history. He passed Tony Gonzalez's previous mark of 4,718 to move into the top spot in NFL history by a tight end. He needs 53 yards after the catch to move past Terrell Owens for 3rd place on that list. 53 yards after the catch, not a whole lot considering how many games the Chiefs have left. But if we're being honest, and you won't find anybody who has more respect for Travis Kelce, you'd start to see the age showing up a little bit, especially in that game. There are a couple of plays against the Raiders where he just isn't moving super well. Now, is it age or is it just that he's tired? Because, like I said, they've played so many games. They had an early bye. And it's about to get worse when it comes to just these guys' bodies needing to be in shape. So you talk about the support staff at this time of the year, the athletic trainers, the strength and conditioning staff, the nutritionists, the massage, all the people that take care of these guys' bodies that stand on the sideline that you see in Chiefs gear that you don't necessarily know who they are, but you know they're running around doing stuff. Those people get Super Bowl rings too because they need to get these guys' bodies ready to go. And they're more important than they'll ever get credit for. Yes, the players, the coaches, they believe that. But this is that time of the year, especially with that early bye, that support staff and getting these guys physically ready to play without injury is so important. And it's about the most important thing, especially now the Chiefs was the first team in the NFL this year to clinch a playoff spot, despite the fact that everybody wants them to lose and they're taking everybody's best shot. But yeah, Travis Kelce keeps picking up that yards after the catch, but let's not pretend that it's not slowing down. And for me, the first time I really noticed the difference, where I could kind of say, yeah, that's different, was against the Raiders on a couple of plays. One of the plays where he caught and he tried to make a move and both legs fell down. I actually thought he got hurt. I was talking to Josh Briscoe and the Only Weird Games guys about this before they recorded yesterday. They actually thought he blew out both knees with the way that he went down. But instead just took his 5-6 yards, fell down, and that was fine. No yards after the catch there. And he's still finding a way to get open. I don't care. We saw an 86-year-old Antonio Gates and Jason Witten later in his career where they could barely move, still understand how to get open because they can read defenses. They know where to go, the soft spot in the zone. And as people have talked about with Travis Kelce for years, kind of freelances a lot of his routes anyway. So he's just going to kind of run to where it's open. And he and Mahomes have that kind of connection. So they know what's going on. But appreciate it. That's through 5. And I want to take a quick break right now and talk to you guys about the Soul of KC holiday raffle. This is the 4th year that we've done this. It is one of our, if not our favorite program that we do. We have 7 annual programs with the KCSN Foundation. And this one benefits Operation Breakthrough in their Christmas store. I've had a chance to go and visit with Miss Liz and all the phenomenal people over at Operation Breakthrough and see the impact over the last 3 years that this program has made for their Christmas store, and to ensure that more families that live in the Kansas City area that need help, that need that extra just generosity from people in the community that have the ability to help, making sure that we can make sure that Christmas is great for all the kids in our community. And so we try to make this thing as simple as possible. We put it out all over social media. You can find the link to this fundraiser in the description of the audio of this show and also on YouTube. But here's how it works. We've got 20 different prizes that you can win. Everything. I'm going to read them off real quick just so you can see the scope. We have a Patrick Mahomes autographed mini helmet, a Chris Jones signed red jersey, a Justin Reed signed red jersey, a Chamari Connor signed black jersey, a Leo Chanel signed black jersey, a Nick Bolton signed mini helmet, a Holiday Distillery bourbon pack, tickets plus parking plus VIP tailgate experience to the game against the Texans on December 21st. We got 2 tickets available to that game. Bobby Witt Jr. art by Caitlin Snelling. If you haven't seen her stuff, it is phenomenal. We have a tequila tasting and session taco tailgate pack from our friends at Session Tacos. $100 gift card to the Capitol Grill. $50 gift card to Third Street Social. We have 2 of those winners. $100 gift card to Red Door Grill, one of my personal favorite restaurants in Kansas City. We have 2 winners for that one. $50 gift card to BB's Barbecue. 2 winners for that one. A Cookie Society gift card from our friends Jeff and Marissa Allen, the Cookie Cartel. They're absolutely crushing it down in the Dallas area and worldwide soon with Cookie Society. Those cookies are absolutely phenomenal. The Good Old Days swag pack, like the hoodie that I'm wearing right now, you can grab that, or you can always grab it at kcsnshop.com. We appreciate your support there, as we got to remember that these are the good old days and not to lose sight of that. And then we'll have two winners of that. You get a t-shirt and a hoodie that you can pick out on the website, and we'll send those to you. Those are the 20 items available that you can win. And to win them, all you have to do is buy raffle tickets. And there's 2 ways you can do that. You can buy raffle tickets through our Venmo at KC Sports Network. $20 gets you 1 ticket, $50 gets you 5 tickets, and $100 gets you 15 tickets. And you can buy raffle tickets through noon Central Time on Monday, December 9th. So just about 1 more week to do this. And again, you can buy them through our Venmo, or you can buy them on our Give Butter page, which is givebutter.com/KCSN Soul. Again, the links are everywhere that you'd be listening to this show. Just go to the description of the show and you can find it. We are a 501c3, so you will get a receipt with our tax ID information to write the donation off to your taxes. But again, we're going to take all the money that we raised from these raffle and we go on a giant shopping spree to Dick's Sporting Goods. We're actually doing that later that week after it's done. So we're buying tickets through Monday, December 9th. And then Tuesday, December 10th, we'll announce all the winners during the live episode of Only Weird Games. So we'll announce all 20 of those winners at that time. But we'll go to Dick's Sporting Goods. We do a giant shopping spree. Operation Breakthrough sends some of their kids and some of their people out. We go shopping and we literally load up the truck right then and there. We've raised over $50,000 over the past 3 years. We're trailing a little bit of what we've done over the last few years. So if you're feeling generous and you have the ability to help, we appreciate you supporting this. Like I said, it's one of our favorite programs, and one that going on that shopping spree is one of my favorite things that we do. And it's money in, money out. Nobody's keeping any of this money from KCSN. Nobody's taking anything from the foundation. Nobody gets paid from the foundation for any of the stuff we're doing right now. And it's just, it's a special deal, and we appreciate it. We put videos out to be transparent, let you guys know what we're doing, and just to show the fun that we're having out shopping for these kids. But we appreciate that support. So grab as many raffle tickets as you can, and we'll get those items sent out. So you should get those before Christmas as well. In case you're lucky enough to win one of those items, you can include it in a Christmas package for yourself. But we appreciate you for tuning into this show. Appreciate you letting me explain that a little bit. And now we've got to pay some bills. So we'll be right back after this quick break.
Shop Chiefs tickets and more with no fees. Plus, save big with code KCSN at ticketsforless.com, the official ticket provider of KC Sports Network.
Hey everyone, with the holidays creeping up faster than your aunt's fruitcake recipe, I've got something way better to share with you. If you want to look sharp for all those festive gatherings and maybe finally win that best groom at the family dinner award, check out the latest masterpiece from Manscaped, the Chairman Pro Electric Foil Shaver. Trust me, it's like Rudolph for your face, guiding you to a smooth, irritation-free shave. Head over to manscaped.com and join the over 11 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by using code KCSN for 20% off plus free shipping. It's waterproof with 75 minutes of runtime on a single charge and an LED light to make sure you don't miss anything. The Chairman Pro also has Flex Adjust technology, which is basically like the holiday miracle of shaving. Get the Chairman Pro today and experience a shave that is smooth as you deserve. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code KCSN at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code KCSN at manscaped.com. All right, welcome back to 10 Things here on KC Sports Network. I'm BJ Kissel. Appreciate you for hanging out. Appreciate you for supporting the Soul of KC raffle and for letting us pay some bills with those ads. I know people talk to us all the time about having too many ads on the network. I promise you, nobody's getting rich off this, but that's the way that we function as a business, is through advertising. So we appreciate you not only for bearing with us through those, but supporting some of those businesses. If you want to support local, we are very much a startup, small business, local, and trying to support other businesses that want to support us here at KCSN, and we appreciate you for listening. All right, number 6 here on the 10 things. Shouldn't have taken this long to get to them, but it did. Noah Gray. I almost said Justin Watson. He's coming up next. Noah Gray logs another big game. Patrick Mahomes was able to find Gray wide open in the middle of the field for a gain of 26 yards in Friday's game, giving Gray 4 25-plus yard receptions on the season. That mark ties him for the 5th most 25-plus yard catches by a tight end in the NFL this season. Gray continues a career-best season in 2024, right after his contract extension, with single-season records for receptions, receiving yards, and touchdowns. He has 31 receptions, 373 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Gray finished Friday's game tying a single-game career high with 4 catches for 58 yards en route to another Chiefs victory. I have to go back, and I probably have some quotes a few years ago on Noah Gray that won't age well, to date it myself. But Noah Gray is a perfect example of a player that he's a good athlete. He's not super big, not super fast, but a good athlete who knows exactly where to go in this offense. And he has Patrick Mahomes' trust, because Patrick Mahomes trusts him to be where he's supposed to be, which is generally open. With all of the other attention. It's not taking anything away from Noah Gray. We're seeing him start to run some of the routes that we had seen from Kelce earlier in his career, where Kelce's getting all this attention. They flip-flop guys. We saw it with one of his touchdowns this week. So Noah Gray is one of those guys that I'm glad they got the contract extension. Not a whole lot of money for as important as he's becoming to the Chiefs offense. But again, you don't have to be the biggest, fastest, most athletically talented player if you know what you're doing and you understand football and you understand what this offense needs from you in any given play to be successful. It's a lot of things that are hard to quantify and hard to point to exactly what it looks like, but there's a reason that players that may be a little bit bigger, maybe a little bit faster, maybe a little bit more athletic, can't seem to find their way onto the field because they don't know where they're supposed to be. You can't convince me that Justin Ross is not a better athlete than Noah Gray. I understand they play different positions. I get it. But think about it in terms of who's a better athlete. If you had to line them up and just scout them, if you're Brett Veach and you're scouting these guys as athletes and you put them out there, who do you think is going to be the one who's making more plays? Well, knowing where to go and mentally being locked in that kind of way and comfortable in this offense that, again, has a lot of gray area. That's funny. I didn't do that on purpose. But it does have a lot of gray area, and Noah Gray knows how to read the gray area the same way that Patrick Mahomes does, which is why we've seen this level of success. All right, somebody else that kind of understands how to do that is Justin Watson. With 2:14 left in the second quarter of Friday's game, Mahomes lobbed up a 6-yard pass to Justin Watson to come down with it in the end zone, marking the first touchdown of the game and putting the Chiefs up 10-3. The TD grab marked Watson's first scoring reception of the season and his 6th since joining the Chiefs, and the 8th of his career. Of his 6 touchdowns since joining the Chiefs, his last 3 have all come against the Raiders. This play in particular, and I don't have the highlight, I'm not going to break it down. There's been a lot made about Patrick Mahomes' season and how well he's done or how well he hasn't done. And I think these kinds of plays, I spent a little bit more time rewatching or going back through. It was basically a no-look pass. If you know what I'm talking about, he threw it back across his body with his left shoulder locked in, his feet, his hips, everything was locked in. And throwing it away that like every quarterback coach or every youth football coach will tell you that's not how you're supposed to do it. In the NFL, you can't always be throwing off a set platform. It's just fancy way of saying just getting your feet right. Stepping in to throw all those things. You just don't have the ability to do that at the NFL. You have to be able to throw accurate passes with an inaccurate or bad feet, bad platform, just because you have guys rushing after you. You're throwing on the run, all those things that Patrick Mahomes is so good at. But for all the crap that he's gotten about how he's played this season, we should equally be in awe of plays like this. Now, he's the only quarterback in the NFL that can make this throw. No, Matthew Stafford can make this kind of throw. Other quarterbacks that can make this kind of throw. But not all those guys have been under the same scrutiny that Patrick Mahomes has had, at least from Chiefs fans talking about this season and how poorly he's played and the interceptions and all those types of things. Patrick Mahomes is still him, and he's still I don't say when he needs to because it makes it sound like he can turn it on and off. Well, why doesn't he do it all the time? Patrick Mahomes has enough plays that he reminds all of us that A, they're good enough to win and beat anybody regardless of how well they're playing on any given day. And two, that he can still make throws like that when it matters. And we shouldn't overlook those while we're focusing on the missed throws to Xavier Worthy deep or any of the other plays where he's running for his life, or when he bails the pocket early, or he starts drifting back in the pocket, all the bad habits that not just Mahomes, but we've seen enough of it now that he starts to do when things break down and things start to struggle. And that's the biggest worry when the tackles aren't doing well. It's obviously you can do different things to help. But when Mahomes starts not trusting those tackles and starts bailing a little bit early, it's going to be an issue. We didn't see that in that. I mean, reason he couldn't step into the throw to Justin Watson that we're talking about right now is that he was getting hit on a throw that didn't take a super long time to develop. So the protection's got to get better, but even when it's not, Patrick Mahomes can still remind us a few times a game that he's still that dude. All right. And he's got a dude on the other end. I don't have a great transition for this, but moving on to number 8, it's DeAndre Hopkins. And he continues to stack big games since joining the Chiefs via trade on October 24th, just over a month ago. He tallied 4 receptions for a team-high 90 receiving yards, including 2 30-plus yard catches, averaging 22.5 yards per catch in Friday's game against the Raiders. Hopkins now owns 26 receptions for 325 yards and 3 touchdowns in 5 games played, with 4 starts for Kansas City. Most people like myself, when talking about Hopkins' performance, are going to remember the one that he dropped just because he does not drop passes. And that one in particular, just because it was the easiest one he's probably had so far in Kansas City to catch, where he's wide open, hit him in the chest, fell down. I'm going to forgive that one because some of the other catches that we've seen him make and the fact that we know throughout his career that doesn't do that a whole lot. But this part of the season for DeAndre Hopkins is stay healthy, get comfortable in the offense, get comfortable with some of the plays as they break down, where Mahomes likes to go, where he delivers the football. And for Mahomes, just throwing it anywhere in the general vicinity of DeAndre Hopkins, because he's big enough, he's long enough that he can help break it up if the DB is in great position. Outside of that, this is exactly what we wanted from DeAndre Hopkins. I talked about it last week on this show that when my son and I were up in Buffalo, I could see out on the field a few different times where DeAndre Hopkins didn't know where to line up. He didn't know what route to run. Even on one of them, still ended up making the catch. But it's hard to understand Andy Reid's entire playbook in such a short time. So it's just, I'm guessing here, just adding certain plays and just kind of building upon a foundation of what you learned early and just stacking more and more on top of that each week, and to where DeAndre Hopkins is going to continuously have more things thrown at him, especially as they face different defenses with different looks, different coverages, different schemes they're going against with different blitz packages and different hot route, like all those things that I'm not going to pretend to know how it all works. I just know there's a lot that goes into it. And DeAndre Hopkins getting more experience and more comfortable in this offense is only going to be a good thing going forward. Again, as we talk about Hollywood Brown, hopefully getting at least one, maybe a couple of games in the regular season before the playoffs to get a little bit more acclimated to this offense and spend a whole lot of time here either, but another weapon for Patrick Mahomes. But DeAndre Hopkins, every bit as advertised, been phenomenal. Somebody else who's been pretty good throughout his Chiefs career is Nick Bolton. He registered a game-high 11 tackles on Friday, including one for loss, tying his single-game mark for tackles in the 2024 season. Bolton also came up big in multiple moments in Friday's game, first breaking up a pass on 3rd and 4 that forced a Las Vegas field goal that was not converted. And then Bolton teamed up with defensive end, making his season debut, Charles Omenihu. Shout out to him, working his way back from that injury. But they stopped Raiders running back Amir Abdullah on 4th and 1 at the start of the third quarter to give the ball back to the Kansas City offense. And then in the game's final seconds, Bolton recovered the fumbled shotgun snap from Aiden O'Connell to give the ball back to the Kansas City offense and seal the victory. The recovery marked Bolton's first fumble recovery of the 2024 season and the second of his career. We could do an entire show about the end of that game and what happened, but Nick Bolton, right place at the right time. Picking up another improbable ending type win for the Chiefs as it just keeps happening. I actually joked. Let me know in the comment section if you would like this. We ended up not doing it, obviously, but talked to Josh Briscoe. We were going to do 10 things. And instead of going through some of these game notes, it was going to be 10 ways the Chiefs will win the next 10 games. And we were just going to literally make up the most insane situations that the Chiefs could win a game on. Block punt, interception returned from Patrick Mahomes, fumbled at the 1 and then returned back the other way for a touchdown to win the game. All kinds of things that you probably get right based on the way the season is going. We might get close on one with different ways the Chiefs could win. But let's move on to number 10. And we got a bonus one for you too, because I could not include the new kicker. But Chris Jones downs Aiden O'Connell twice to move up in the record book. Chris Jones recorded a pair of sacks in Friday's game, first wrestling Raiders quarterback Aiden O'Connell down for a 5-yard loss to force a 4th and 9 punt in the second quarter. And then with less than 2 minutes left in the second quarter, Jones dropped O'Connell for a 2-yard loss to force a 4th and 11 punt. With his pair of sacks, Jones now owns 80.5 career sacks, breaking a tie with linebacker Justin Houston to move into 4th place for the most sacks in franchise history. It's dating back to 1982 when he started keeping that stat. But Jones now needs 6.5 sacks to move past Neil Smith for the 3rd most sacks in franchise history. That's within striking distance if you include the playoffs. But Jones already owns the franchise record for most sacks by a defensive tackle or nose tackle. His 2 sacks in the game marks his 21st multi-sack career game. He now has 5 sacks this season and finished the day with 6 tackles, 3 of which were solo, 2 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and 2 quarterback hits. So to recoup, top 5 players in Chiefs franchise history with the most sacks. 5th place is now Justin Houston with 78.5. 4th place, Chris Jones with 80.5. Neil Smith, 86.5. So again, Chris Jones, 6.5 shy of surpassing Neil Smith. And then above Neil Smith, Tom Ali has 89.5. So Chris Jones, for those with good mental math, 9.5 career sacks shy of passing Tom Ali. Probably not going to happen this season without a pretty big stretch. A Frank Clark type postseason with all these sacks. And then Derek Thomas, way up there, 126.5. Chris Jones will threaten that, I think, throughout his career if he stays healthy with his contract extension. But Chris Jones passing Justin Houston for 4th place on the all-time sacks leader. Shout out to Chris for finishing some of those plays. He's been close last few games to making some of those late plays that we're used to seeing from him. But shout out to him for getting to O'Connell and making some important plays. I hope the Chiefs pick up their 11th victory and clinch a playoff berth. Bonus point right here, and this is for Matthew Wright, as he played in his first game back with the Chiefs after playing 2 games with them during the 2022 season. But in his return to the Chiefs, Wright tied a single-game career high with 4 made field goals. He did that also against Indianapolis on January 9th and Atlanta on December 4th, both in 2022. Wright added 1 PAT for 13 total points in the victory. In the first quarter, Wright put up the first points of the game with a 25-yard field goal. He went on to convert from 42, 35, and 32 yards in the win. I joked that Spencer Schrader earned his Super Bowl ring the Chiefs go get their three-peat with his game-winning kick against Carolina. Well, Matthew Wright also earned a Super Bowl ring for his performance against the Raiders, and whoever kicks against the Chargers next week, and then a couple weeks after that before Harrison Butker comes back. But giving out a lot more Super Bowl rings with these guys coming in and getting it done. So shout out to Matthew Wright for getting it done. And shout out to all of you for sticking with us through this entire show. Again, we appreciate your support. You want to continue to support us here at KC Sports Network and grab a hoodie or a t-shirt. These are the good old days. You can get that at shopkcsm.com. But more importantly, hope if you do have a little bit of extra money and you want to support the community with a chance to win some cool stuff, consider getting some raffle tickets for our Soul of KC holiday raffle and toy drive benefiting Operation Breakthrough. Again, one of the most special things that we do, we've put videos out. We've got interviews with the folks from Operation Breakthrough that you can find to hear from them what the impact of this program has done. And again, it's money in, money out. The money you give to us, we're going to shop with at Dick's Sporting Goods with members of Operation Breakthrough with their truck outside. We buy all this stuff. You've seen the pictures of us all in line, bringing all this stuff in. We've got about 15 people that come out and help. Everybody loads up a bunch of shopping carts. We go, I stand at the register and start scanning the card, doing a lot of math in my head to make sure we're bouncing the account. Because again, all the money in the foundation's in and out. So a lot of cool stuff to win. That should all get shipped out by the end of next week as well, to make sure that you guys get that stuff before Christmas, barring how the post office and everything is working as far as getting that shipping out a couple weeks before Christmas. But appreciate you all for hanging out. Appreciate you for listening to this and supporting what we've got going on at KC Sports Network. A lot more content coming up this week. You have that football show going out on Monday morning, a little bit different with the Chiefs playing on Friday. We messed with the schedule a little bit, make sure we've got a show each day, but we'll have 21 questions coming out as well. And then right back to it with the lab on Monday night, where Craig and Kent can break things down for you. But appreciate all your support. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving with family, friends, and whoever you spent that time with. And yeah, enjoy this time. Appreciate the support. We'll see you next time. Peace.